Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access, where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
We're here in fantastic Austin, Texas. And Joey, when they say everything is bigger in Texas, they really mean it.
They really do, including this fantastic facility, FIA Grade 1, 20 turns, known as the Circuit of the Americas.
And the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America is going to be tackling it today. So let's see how they do. We've got Scott Blend of Ruckus Racing. Scott, you've started to earn the nickname of the Iron Man. You did every race of the weekend back at Sonoma, and you're doing it again here at Circuit of the Americas. What pushes you to try that?
You know, I was going to maximize this track time. You know, I'm here, I might as well do it. I've got the energy to do it, so you know, it just and every time I do, I just get a little better every session. You know, so that's the goal. Is just to keep improving.
I know there's the obvious difficulties that come with it, but what are some of the other things that you have to be concerned with when trying that over a weekend?
So, of course, this weekend the heat is brutal, but when it's hard on the team, you know, to get the cars ready, and it's always back-to-back on the cars and qualifying, and so you have to have kind of two separate crews, you know, running the each car. So that, I think, it's the timing and just everybody being in sync and everybody being ready when it's time to go.
Is there anything this weekend that you found out from doing it at Sonoma that you think will help you?
Yeah, I think we've learned, you know, a lot out on track with the pit strategies, and I think you all know we fall back early, but at the end things seem to be working out well, and we're there at the end and fighting for that podium. So yeah, just a little bit of track. We're going to miss Mike Johnson this weekend. He's not here. He's really good on the box. But no, it's just we get a little better each time with our timing, with our prep, with our execution. And I think that's what we were learning is how to improve on that.
Well, best of luck. Drink lots of fluids.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll see you on the track.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's right, it's time to go racing with the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury, along with Carrera Cup North America driver Ashley Freiberg. Joey, first race of the weekend, tell us about the track.
Well, it is going to be warm out here at Circuit of the Americas, and like we heard earlier, it is a 20-turn FIA Grade 1 facility located here in Austin, Texas. A couple of big areas throughout this extremely long circuit. Turn number 1, known as Big Red, you got to make sure to get your brake marker right, especially on lap 1 at turn number 1. It can be very chaotic. And then through sector 1, it is one corner after another. You cannot get behind. Couple other corners to mention. Turn number 11, incredibly important to get out onto that back straightaway, because you see turn number 12 at the end is a great passing opportunity. Turn 15, known as the stadium section, one of the slowest corners on this incredibly long racetrack, feeds you into that triple apex, 16, 17, 18, and then of course turn number 20, Andretti turn, the final turn here at COTA to wrap up a lap.
And it's going to be 35 minutes plus a lap for today's race. So should be a fun one, Ashley, as drivers are getting ready and heading out onto the track already. What are your big talking points do you think the drivers need to be worried about today?
Yeah, actually, I think the track will be in great condition this morning with the cloud cover. It is warm, but with the cloud cover, it will make the track a little bit more grippy for these drivers this morning. And then, as we can see, we have quite the mix between classes this morning as well. So we've got a Cayman Masters leader here between some Pro-Am drivers as well. So definitely going to be quite the mix as we start into turn 1. But ultimately, you just want to get through turn 1 nice and clean, and then start to fall into line from there.
Let's go through our starting grid for today's event, as well as Elaine Scalzo, as you mentioned, has that Solaris flying lap pole position. Jens Hansen is our quickest in the Pro-Am, starting next to him on the front row. Then in row 2, Lonnie Unser going to be starting from P3, looking for her first win of the season. Anna Checki going to be starting next to her in 4th. Then we get to the next row of row 3. Bill Pelichowski returns after an accident early in the season with a new chassis, and Tom Kopczynski is going to be starting from 6th position on the outside of row 3. Erica Hoffman going to be up next in 7th position. Dan Ammon doing double duty in the Caymans and here, or in 992s and here in the Caymans, rather, there for row number 4. Then you get down to row number 5 with Bill Finnick. On the inside, he'll be flanked by Greg Checki. That's Anna Checki's dad. They'll be racing in different classes, however. Of course, we get to the next view with Griff Osmond starting on the inside of row 6. In 12th, it's going to be Joe Rizzo. And then behind them, you've got Reinhold Kranz starting in the 13th position, followed by Spencer Proper starting P14. Just a couple more, as we've got Khalid Aidu, who is out there, and of course who is starting next to Paul Bonderson in 16th, and then Tom Kerr is going to be rounding out your 17-car field. We have Reggie Tartaglione on here, but I'm not sure that he will be gridding up for today's race. Just a couple more corners to go, Joey. Any butterflies you think out there in the field for this first race?
I'm sure that there are, but this is the time that the drivers are kind of wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, making sure that those belts are strapped in tight, that you got all your radio checks done, everything on the dash is exactly what you need it to go racing. And remember, this front straightaway at COTA, it is uphill into turn number 1. So when we talk about aggressive moves, we're going to see them, especially early on in this race. We got to be careful at the apex of turn number 1. Things really kind of funnel from what can be 10 wide if you really push the issue on the entry to about 3 wide, maybe 4 wide at apex, but then coming out at turn number 1, it really narrows up into that funnel.
Well, real quickly, Ashley, how would you try and approach that? You want to try and go to the inside of turn 1, outside? Where do you go in this chaos?
It's really hard to say depending on where you're starting. I think ultimately you just have to be very aware of your surroundings. Take a gap when you see it. However, be aware that that apex is coming up quick, so you don't want to brake too late. So I think ultimately it's just a matter of where the traffic flow is and just, being on it.
Scalzo has that pole position. And as the pace car is in, he waits for the call from the flag stand to get going. They usually give them a bit before they get down to the start line here on the front straightaway at Circuit of the Americas. But a nice, orderly set of rows. Looks like should be going shortly, and there it is. Green flag is out as they accelerate away. A couple of them popping out in the back, just trying to stay out of trouble as they head up into Big Red. Scalzo looks like he does have a good run into there. Lonnie looking to the inside, seeing if she could take that second place away, but as they side through that first corner, we are going to get away clean, Joey.
Yeah, it looks pretty good so far. We head into this Sector 1 S section where it is so crucial to stay right on the racing line. We're going to see how many of these cars can navigate this. I see 1, 2 cars already cutting the course there. They're going to have to be careful about that. Track limits violation always being watched.
Yeah, I can see Greg Checky in there trying to see if he can go around the outside. Sometimes you can sneak up into turn 7 here, but he gets denied as they carry on their battle. But mostly single file throughout the field, up through the S's to the top of the hill, out of 9 and down towards 11. But Ashley, it's this critical exit onto the back straight that everybody's going to be watching for.
Yeah, we got some battles in the back here as well, but a super clean start through turn 1 there. A couple cars were too wide, so I'd love to see the tight racing here so far.
Coming off the corner, it looks like Greg Checky in the background is still side by side. It is a misty morning out here, very humid. So it is thick air that the drivers are having to cut through as we head down into the braking of turn 12. Definitely gapping at the front of the field, but for Scalzo here, he's got Hansen and Unser and Checky behind him. They are not in his class, Joey.
A fantastic start from both Unser and Checky as we see Hansen trying to put the pressure on our leader now. I really thought that Scalzo was able to kind of jump away in the first half of the lap, but now it seems like Hansen has got the tire temperature underneath him in those Yokohama tires, and he is putting it to good use. He is right on the back of our leader, that blue and orange number 26. Now, I know that these are 2 different class cars, class drivers, but it's the overall lead they're fighting for.
Yeah, Jens Hansen has kind of been tussling with him for much of the season, wanting to try and get that overall victory. Jens with some fantastic racing at the start. In fact, both he and Scalzo have been mostly dominating at the front. It's just 2 wins for Hansen in the first race were kind of blunted by the speed of Danny Dashelski, who took the victory in the 2 races at Sonoma, but still he was right behind him, Hansen, fighting for that class win. Coming up into turn 1, though, Ashley, it doesn't look like Jens is really interested in trying it quite yet. Wonder if he's letting it play out, as that was wide from Scalzo.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for an opportunity here. They are in 2 separate classes, so they want to be careful since they are both in the lead. However, I'm sure Jens is trying to build a little bit of a gap from Lonnie, because Lonnie is right there seeing what's going to go down here in the next few laps.
You have to remember that Jens Hansen is coming in pretty young in his career, but the speed is very clearly there for him. Has done everything from racing in Trans Am to doing a couple races here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America in 2024, but doesn't have a whole lot of experience under his belt, but clearly he is going to be quick when you put him into a race car. Meanwhile, it does look like, Joey, that Lonnie Unser is keeping him a bit honest. She's not that far away back there.
Ashley read that perfectly. I mean, she cut out a 1/4 of a second in Sector 1 on these 2 guys in front of him alone, and now she is in the slipstream on that back straightaway. Not quite close enough to make a lunge down into turn number 12 down here, as it all kind of looks pretty even heading down into the brake zone. Scalzo is holding off the pressure for now, but that mistake in turn 1, it could have been down to thinking the tires were completely up to temperature. Here it is a warm morning, so they do get up to that operating temperature pretty quickly, but still it's about a lap, maybe 2 laps at most, until everything is completely settled in. Certainly looks like Hansen is more aggressive early on.
Wanted to correct myself. Reggie Tartaglione is in this race. He didn't show up on my initial qualifying sheet, so he is competing, and he is running in 18th currently, battling with Edu there at the back of the field. There you can see the beautiful tower that we shot our intro on. You can see pretty much the entire track from there, watching them all race. And as we watch from a camera set up on that tower, it is still immense pressure on Elaine Scalzo for the overall lead coming into Andretti. Andretti looking for the run here. Ooh, this is actually a pretty good one, Ashley. I might wonder if we see a move from Hansen into turn 1.
Yeah, I know he's thinking about it, but it's interesting to watch him sort of think his way through. Oh, he's going for a move here. So that was actually great. That was super calculated, very clean. Oh, a little bit of a slide there. We'll see if he can get him back. Probably not. Turn 2 is quite fast. Then we've got Lonnie coming up as well. I'm sure Lonnie's going to want to try to get around Scalzo as well.
Yeah, we have to remember that Lonnie is really only racing with Hansen. That's in the Pro-Am category for that class victory. So she wants to dispose of Scalzo quickly. Wonder how aggressive she'll manage to be to try and see if she can take that away, as Hansen does his best to try and run away. That slip up, Joey, I think almost backed Scalzo up into Lonnie.
It's a tough slide when you're up at the front and you get past and you find yourself kind of on the back foot, and then all of a sudden another competitor approaches in your mirror, and that's exactly what Lonnie Unser is doing, as Hansen is trying to run away, and she sees that Scalzo is maybe not 100% comfortable in the car right now, at least, and putting the power down. We saw Hansen have that huge moment of the power down in turn number 1. It was Scalzo the lap before that ran extra wide in that same area of the racetrack. So trust me, she sees all of this. She's putting it into that memory bank. She's going to figure out a move.
Interesting to note that she has the fastest lap of the race right now. So she does look quite quick. Of course, some of that has, I think, been due to a bit of battling between these two. But we'll see what the tail of the stopwatch says as this race carries on, if she can keep holding on to that fastest lap. All this happening just in front of Anna Czecki and Bill Pelichowski. Now, he's not right on top of things, Joey, but, I mean, he's also one that's going to be trying to capitalize on this, because if those two pass Scalzo, that's his best chance to try and attack.
I think we've kind of got, like, call it a top 5, maybe even a top 6 breakaway. You can include Kopczynski in there, because you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. And then a little bit of a gap back to Erica Hoffman back there in 7th. So I do think that Hansen is probably the fastest of this group, and he's proven it right now by going purple sector 2. I'm sure he'll set a purple sector 3 time as well, just kind of improving that gap over Scalzo. But how far is Scalzo going to fall? How much can Unser go up there and put the pressure on? How much is Anna now going to join the party?
Yeah, you know, we talk about that a lot, Ashley, of well, okay, he's not fighting these drivers, but he's not fighting them until Pelichowski becomes a problem. So we have to figure out where that line is of, I don't want to give any more positions up.
Yeah, exactly. It is still a long race as well, so these drivers are just sort of falling into line here and kind of seeing where their pace is going to start to end up. I'm sure Lonnie is also calculating Scalzo and seeing where his strong points are, where his weak points are, and I'm sure she definitely wants to try to get by him. But yeah, he does have a bit of a gap, which helps him out as well.
So things settle down for the time being. Definitely looks like the race is just kind of getting into a rhythm at this stage while everybody tries to figure everyone else out. It's still this close fight for the top 5. I'm looking down through the order. It looks like Finnick and Ammon could be fighting for 4th place in Masters, as they're only separated by about half a second as well. So keep an eye on that one. But 18 drivers started, 18 drivers still in it.
I think what's pretty impressive on timing and scoring, that last lap out of our 4th place car, Anna Czecki, was a 2:18.0. Compare that to Scalzo, 2:18.9. Lonnie directly in front of her, 2:18.5. So that blue and white number 27 has a head of steam right now, and she is catching up these front 3. And this is pretty typical of her driving style. If we look back to Sebring, we look back to Spring Mountain, we look back to Sonoma, she's very fast in the car, but it always takes her a few laps to get everything rolling.
Now we got some information from race control. Car 74 and 59 start violation. Just a warning though, so no penalty. That's going to be Tom Kerr and Reggie Tartaglione. I know it's speculation, Joey, but I'm going to take a guess. It's getting out of a line before the start-finish line.
Yeah, the rule here is that you have to stay in your column until you reach that start-finish line where the flagger actually has that green flag. If you move out of your column, that's not allowed. But like you said, just a warning, they'll learn from it.
Looks like Griff Osmond managed to make a move on Kreins recently, so that moves him up into 11th overall. Look at Jens Hansen. Now that he's made the pass, he's starting to stretch away from Scalzo. Unser remains close, just behind, but it's clear that things are now under control of the number 12.
Heck of a lap from Hansen, and then also, I mean, really our top 3 put down their best laps of the race right there. It was actually Anna Czecki, who I was just saying, catching this group. She actually fell back just a little bit, so Lonnie staying consistent right now, right on the back of Scalzo. And I think that's kind of where our fight is.
And Ashley, I've seen over the years, it seems like certain drivers are better at leading and kind of controlling the race, where others might prefer to be the chaser. What's been your experience over racing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely every driver has their own sort of personality when it comes to racing on the track, and some drivers are the longer term mindset. So they start off a little bit on the slower side to sort of preserve their tires and preserve their car, and then go into attack mode later on. And some drivers are really, really quick right at the start and really putting the hammer down right off the bat. So we could see Jens is really trying to pull that gap right off the bat. He made that pass on Scalzo as well. So that's definitely going to benefit, I think, on this sprint race for sure.
Watching that shot, Joey, coming off of turn 11, one thing that struck me the first time I actually got out on the track here is you don't realize how much of a drop-off that is on the exit of turn 11.
Yeah, you don't want to get all the way out there on the exit. You can definitely drop some tires and some unnecessary areas that are not going to provide you that drive off of the corner that you need. And you speak of those curbs, something that I'm noticing out of our third place car of Lonnie is that she is being very, very conservative with the car. She's not running over all of the exit curbs like we see out of Hansen or even Scalzo. And that, actually, in my opinion, is incredibly important as a driver. You don't have as much going on by the time you get to the brake zone. You don't have to double check the brake pedal every single time, or I should say as much as you need to, because you know you haven't ran over those alligator curbs. She's taking care of her equipment.
Lonnie had a really great start to the season with a pair of second places at Sebring, and was actually really challenging towards the end of the race for that class victory. Just couldn't seem to come away with it, and then things kind of tipped sideways at Sonoma with a pair of sixth places. She's clearly back on it here, just needs to get by Elaine Scalzo, or else she's going to continue to lose touch with the 12 and a realistic shot at the win.
217.4 out of Unser, 217.5 out of Scalzo, so she continues to close the gap, apply the pressure. She has dropped Anna Checchi. It's 2 seconds between her and Anna Checchi. And check out this mid-pack fight. Oh my goodness, I believe that Greg Checchi is involved with this, as well as Bill Fennick back here. This is a good 4-car battle.
Yeah, that's Dan Ammon, I think, that's on the attack right now. Fennick having to go defensive coming through 1 and 2, but it goes back to single file now through the S's section. Look at Greg get onto the bumper of Dan Ammon. In fact, forces a mistake as he goes wide, tries to tuck underneath, but he gets chopped off at the apex.
It's just kind of two drivers figuring out where they're racing on the line, a little bit different from Ammon versus we see out of Greg Checchi. You see Greg really rolling that kind of momentum through those S-section corners, but crucially, Dan is able to pull away in the very, very important top of the hill section. And then, of course, we come down here to turn number 11. Bill Fennick in that blue and red Cayman can kind of breathe a little bit of sigh of relief. He doesn't have anybody in his mirror directly this time out.
This is really the focus for Dan Ammon, is the Caymans. As we mentioned before this weekend, he's racing both in the Cayman Series and the 992 Cup Series. But he's told us that the Cup Series is pretty much just for the seat time. And he wants to try and score the points and go for it here. This will be for 4th position if he can take this away from Fennick. Both he, Fennick, and Checchi are all in the Masters. Griff Osplund in that orange machine behind him, that is a Pro-Am driver.
And actually, yeah, it looks like being joined maybe by Reinhold Kron back there in the number 19 car, because this 4-pack continues to battle, so that number 19 continues to close it up, and what is a battle of 4 will be a battle of 5 here pretty soon. And Ashley, I want to ask you a question. If you find yourself incredibly similar on a performance level to the driver in front of you, how do you get by him?
Oh, it's super tough, especially at a track like this where there's not, I mean, there's a few corners that are definitely a passing opportunity, but once you're past turn 1, really, you're kind of stuck behind that driver for a long duration. So you really have to analyze the driver around you and see where their weak points are and try to be right behind them so that you can make the most of that opportunity in the brake zone. So you see this kind of happening here, although he doesn't quite make it work. But essentially, you want to try to pass someone either into turn 1, turn 11, or turn 12 are really the major spots.
That was a deep dive there from Dan, but he managed to make it stick. I was a little worried that he was just going to sail wide off the exit of the corner, Joey.
And at turn 1, that is definitely a possibility with the way the elevation just kind of crests up at the top. But this is actually, I think, the weak point for Dan Ammon is this Sector 1 S section. Kind of gets choked up, and he's right in the middle of the racetrack. You see Fennick right on the racing line, just able to close straight to that rear wing of Dan Ammon. So that just shows to you If you're behind on one corner in Sector 1, it is going to lead to the next, which will lead to the following, and you are just in bad news.
I wonder if Fennick maybe was just a little distracted, because I'm seeing he just got a warning for a lap invalidated for shortcutting the track. So that was lap 6, I think, that got removed for him. Drivers are being told that they're being watched on this one, and hopefully nobody winds up actually getting a penalty by abusing that too much. But it does allow Dan Ammon through. Will Greg Shecky do likewise? He's kind of showing his nose a little bit down into turn 12, but he'll stay in line. Whoa, Griff Asplund coming from way far back, bumping over the curb. Thankfully, does not make contact, Ashley.
Yeah, that was good awareness by Greg as well. He left a little bit of a lane there at the apex, so good thing they did not come into contact there.
Talking about the lap and the track limits, and now it's starting to come in thick and fast, Joey, that I'm seeing a lot of lap invalidated warnings out there. So I fear that it may be sooner rather than later that somebody is going to get some sort of time penalty.
I'm sure it will happen at some point today. You just have to keep it as clean as you possibly can and just hope race control is lenient with what they see. But Scalzo now has a mirror full of that purple and white number 4. She's going to look to the inside in turn number 1. Remember, this is where Hansen made the move. Scalzo covers it off here nicely. A little bit wide at apex out of that number 26. This could be an opportunity.
Gets a good exit, but I'm not sure if the speed is there. It's going to take some bravery to do something into turn 3, and no, she is denied, so she has to wait once again. Can't quite get through. The gap remains about 3 seconds up to Jens Hansen, so he is kind of scooting away bit by bit up at the front. I was amused last year when we came here for the Porsche Sprint Challenge, and I was talking to race control. One of them said after one of the practice sessions, the driver with the, jokingly, they said the driver with the most laps invalidated is going to have to come up and tally them for the next session because they were so tired of having to give those warnings.
It reminds me back in my club racing days, bump drafting. They have frowned upon bump drafting. They made me tape ketchup packets to my bumper to prove I wasn't bump drafting out there.
I haven't heard that one before. There's things staying close here. That's another good run from Lonnie. Coming down the back straightaway. Again, she's going to try and get in the mirrors of Scalzo, who does not defend, so he's not going to fight it too hard here. He knows this is not for his points, and he allows her to get to the apex first. Is this going to stick? Yes, she is through into P2 overall.
That was a great move, and she's been setting that up for about 6 laps now, just waiting for the right opportunity. She was super close in turn number 1. Kept the pressure on in the first half of the lap, got the nice slipstream, and then ultimately the braking move down into turn number 12. So all she's got to do is set her sights forward, clean out the windshield, focus on every single mark that she needs to hit, and leave Scalzo in the dust. And actually, Anna's already right on the back of that blue and orange number 26.
It is interesting because Elaine has seemed fast all weekend. I'm not sure if maybe there's a difference in race pace or if it is the heat, because it's not super warm right now, but it's still pretty humid.
It feels much more humid than we've had yesterday, at least. Now, I think it's about mid-80s in terms of ambient temperature, and most of the time yesterday was spent in the mid-90s. So you're right, it's a little bit cooler out on the racetrack, but a lot thicker in terms of the feel.
Another factor to consider is one of the drivers was telling me about the use of the air conditioning in the cars. That is a possibility in these Caymans, but it does apparently suck up some of the lap time, maybe just a few tenths a lap. So some of the drivers may sacrifice that for comfort inside the car.
You always want to be comfortable inside the car because that's what makes you be aggressive. That's what kind of switches on your brain. The more hot you are, the more dehydrated you are, the less the brain works, and you need it working every single corner out here. Ashley, you said you run with a cool shirt sometimes. I think this weekend would be a perfect opportunity for that.
Oh man, absolutely. If you have the tools to stay cool, it's definitely a smart move. However, like you were talking about, I'm not sure I would want to give up any horsepower for it, but certainly the driver comfort makes a big difference, especially on hot days like this.
Keeping an eye on Unser's sector times to see if she's picking up the pace. We're not seeing anything turn green right now. Hansen, though, purple first sector, so he's not wasting any time, especially probably now that his crew has told him that Lonnie has managed to get by Scalzo. knows that he can't rest on his laurels from here. Ah, there it is, Sector 2, personal best for Lonnie Unser. She has been freed, Joey.
Yeah, but crucially, Scalzo was able to match it. Same thing with Anna Checki. So, yes, Lonnie is putting the pace down faster than she has earlier in the race, but the other ones are kind of like the magnet now attached to that back bumper. I think that Lonnie is hoping that that blue and white car kind of goes up and applies a little bit more pressure. That should give her a little bit more breathing room that she can just solely focus on the track right in front of her.
Checky's had 3 third-place finishes already this season. It's been a spectacular start to her racing career. Looking maybe for a second place if she can keep up with Lonnie Unser. It certainly looks like she's quicker than Scalzo right now, because like you said, Joey, as soon as the lane got past, she was right there.
Yeah, but she was a little bit wide through turn number 20 right there, not quite down to the apex, and then, of course, had a little bit of a slide of oversteer as she applied the throttle coming out of that corner. So, got to limit the mistakes. The consistency is key when it comes to racing. The more consistent you can be, the easier you can spot your mistakes out there. That's what Anna's probably trying to work on right now. The more consistent she is, she's going to close that gap. She knows she's fast.
The good news for Scalzo is his last lap was a 2:17.3, Pelichowski at 2:18.1. So he's definitely still faster than the 62 car, which is really his main concern in this situation. Keep himself at a distance.
And you were speaking about Lonnie and how fast she was going. That last lap, a 2:16.5, not only is that the fastest lap in her class, but it is the fastest lap overall. That's 0.3 faster than our leader.
Wow, okay, so she's really turned it up now. It's 3.8 seconds. That's what it says for the last time across the timing line. We'll watch and see when that updates on the tower and whether or not she can start to cut into it. 12 minutes, or 13 minutes plus a lap, essentially, that we've got left. It does feel like she's got a fire lit under her, Ashley.
Yeah, I'm sure she wants to go for that win, absolutely. I'm not sure where Jens is at right now in terms of his pace. I know that he's just kind of hanging out up front there. Not a lot of pressure put on him so far, but Lonnie has got her hair on fire. She definitely wants to go for that win.
She can see that dark colored car up the road. Can she run him down? Hansen having taken 2 wins and 2 second places so far. He'd like to return to the top step of the podium himself as we watch them go through the triple apexer. And looking at those sector times, Lonnie with another purple second sector again. This is going to be interesting. In fact, she was another 0.2 quicker in that second sector alone than Jens Hansen.
Yeah, they kind of flip-flopped. Jens was a little bit faster in Sector 1. Lonnie much faster in Sector 2. And now Jens puts down a 2:16.3. That was a smoking lap time, but Lonnie matches at 2:16.3. Look out, Elaine Scalzo also putting in some fast lap times, too.
It's small margins, about 0.5 tenth quicker over the entire lap for Lonnie Unser, but that's still technically faster, so she's still gaining. As for Scalzo and Pelichowski, oh, it looks like Pelichowski may have set the fastest lap of the Masters class that last time by, so he's also picking it up.
Yeah, 2:17.2. It's kind of to your point that you just mentioned. Scalzo also had a 2:17.2, but it seemed like Pelichowski's was about 0.06 of a second faster.
Interesting. Okay, so everybody just maybe deciding they've got a little bit more pace in the car here, and it's time to really unleash it at this stage. But you can see the spread that we've got at the top of the field, now up to about 3.5 seconds between Hansen and Unser.
And that's actually coming down. Remember what you said, it was about 3.8 before, and I was looking through the stadium section, was about 3.6 that last lap. So now she's down to about 3.5 seconds. What I do worry, though, is that she is faster. Is it going to be too big of a gap because their lap times are so similar? She's only taken 1/10, maybe 1/4 of a second out, and she needs to keep on it. That's all she can do at this point. Maybe she can still reel them in.
Unfortunate news, it looks like Joe Rizzo's been through pit lane. I'm checking to see if that was a penalty or if it was something else. I don't see any drive-throughs being given out, so something must have gone wrong as he now shows last on the field. And actually, no, he hasn't been back out of the pits yet, it's showing. So there must be some sort of technical problem that he's experiencing.
Yeah, and you know, I do think I see our first penalty for multiple track limits. That's going to be car number 74, but it's only -3 seconds. So I think that race controller is doing a very good job of analyzing, okay, where was that track limits violation? How much did they actually gain in terms of that lap time? And being very reasonable about it.
Exactly. So that's Tom Kerr in the 74, who's going to have 3 seconds added to his time. He's sitting in 17th right now, so it shouldn't affect his position if he stays where he is. But if he gets by Tartaglione, who's the next car up, then he's got to get 3 seconds up the road, or else he'll just be sent right back to that 17th spot. A little less of a slide this time from Jens Hansen than when he took the lead away. Maybe just a little bit cooler under the helmet currently.
Let's get a little bit technical here, Ashley, because we've dealt with a lot of racetracks so far for these drivers, and a lot of them are about kind of putting the power down, but this racetrack here at COTA, it's more about managing the lateral grip through everything. How do you do that with these cars?
Yeah, it's super tough once you get through turn 1 into turn 2. All those corners are interconnected, so you're really balancing the car quite a bit with your steering inputs, your pedal inputs on the brake, on the throttle. And ultimately, yeah, the least amount you can slide the car, the faster you're going to go. So it's all about momentum, thinking ahead as well, planning ahead, because if you get a little bit behind in one of these corners, it really affects you later on down the track. So it's super technical, and you want to make sure that you're placing your car super precise on the racing line lap after lap.
Dan Hammond now with the fastest lap of the race in the Masters class. He's picking it up. He has had some decent results. Really, the only bad one was when he had a tire cut down at the first race at Sebring, contact with Bill Fennick on that one. And we've already seen him dispose of Fennick in this race, so doesn't have to worry about that this time. In fact, it looks like, if I'm seeing right, he's about 4 seconds up the road from Greg Jecke. So, wow, he took off from that one.
Yeah, it's a nice job for him to go out there and really execute those lap times after the pass and kind of firm himself up in terms of that track position. So what we're watching right now is Anna Cecchi. That's that blue and white Cayman chasing Scalzo. And that number 26, that's the orange and blue car. And then we also have Bill Pelichowski trying to make it a 3-pack right here. And I gotta wonder, typically we see Scalzo up at the front really fighting for it. You'd kind of pose the question, you know, what's going on in terms of the performance with the car? I wonder if he's just not quite happy with the setup or if the heat is really affecting the driver inside the car. But typically we see him fighting up at the top with Henson.
And if it's bad this morning, it's going to be even worse later today, because it's going to continue to get hotter for him. So he'll have to figure something out. But again, this is somewhat speculation. We don't know what is costing him pace, at least in comparison to what he showed in qualifying as well as in previous races this season. There is Anna Cecchi, and then you saw Bill Pelichowski also in a livery that I really love here. He kind of had one of the crowd favorites with the Tang livery, but since that car was written off, now he's got nerds on the side of the car. And I'll have to go and ask him if there's a story to this one as well.
I love being creative with the schemes on race cars and everything. I think that's one area that you can really have fun with it. We were talking about your scheme yesterday with the Carrera Cup and everything that you do. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit more. There's a good meaning behind it, too.
Yeah, so actually you see it on Lonnie's car as well. It's the Be Your Own Hero program, and it's all Victoria Thomas's vision. She's so amazing, and ultimately it's just about inspiring children, or really of anyone of any age, to invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and be your own hero. Go after your dreams. So it's super exciting. Lonnie has her superhero across the hood. I've got my superhero across mine, and yeah, it's just really, really fun.
We've got Anna still behind Scalzo, but not as close as we saw before. About 2 seconds back or so. It seems that she's lost on that pace. Ooh, was that a slide from Scalzo there through 12?
Definitely looked like a big slide through apex of turn number 12, and we saw one of the spins happen in that area of the racetrack yesterday during one of the qualifying sessions. You're hard on the brakes. You are standing on that brake pedal going into turn number 12, and if you carry that same pedal pressure all the way to apex, well, guess what? All the weight is on the front end of the car. The rear gets very light, but quick hands from Scalzo saved that one.
Very good job, because this race is not over. Chewski's still right back there. Yeah, you can see them in the same shot on some of these wider angles, and so we get a little bit of a zoom on Anna Cecchi here. Let's see whether or not she can be quicker this time by. Well, speaking of which, I think I just saw Lonnie Unser with another fastest lap of the race overall. 2:16.2, another 2/10 quicker than Jens Hansen. It's down to 3.3 seconds.
I want to make a point about these lap times. They qualified in the 2:16s. So these drivers, Hansen and Lonnie Unser up front, are literally doing qualifying times lap after lap after lap. They haven't been out of the 2:16s that I've seen. They were at about a 2:16.6 last time, 2:16.2 from Lonnie this time. She is really ramping it up.
That said, they qualified in the middle of the afternoon, and I'm seeing 90 Fahrenheit on the track surface right now. So maybe a little bit grippier now, but regardless, yeah, they are pushing as much as they can up at the front. I keep watching those sectors, Joey. It seems like Jens Hansen may be a little quicker in Sector 1 consistently each time.
I've noticed that too. Yeah, a little bit better in Sector 1, but then Lonnie picks it all up in Sector 2. So where Jens is faster in the first bit of the track, probably through the S section, Lonnie's much better, probably getting out onto this straightaway and then maximizing her braking capability also into those threshold brake zones. Every driver is a little bit different. Every car is a little bit different, and that's kind of just the ups and downs that we see.
Absolutely, but that's what makes it fun to watch out here. See who can get those gains, and who has that speed, where can they take advantage of it out on the track. 3 minutes plus 1 lap to go. If you're not familiar with how it works here at Porsche Sprint Challenge, once that clock hits 0, the next time by, they hit the start-finish line. They get the white flag for the 1 to go signal. So they do have a couple left, but as we said, about 2:16 a lap, even on the fast days for these cars. So it will go by very quickly.
I feel like I might have been a little bit hard on Scalzo and his kind of slide from the lead down to third, because he has settled in very, very nicely in this little piece of racetrack that he's got. He's been able to hold off the pressure from this blue and white number 27 all race long, and actually he's kind of stretching out that gap just a touch right now, so it seems like he's maybe settled into his rhythm finally.
You see the leader, Jens Hansen, now at about 4 seconds ahead, so he gained quite a bit at 2:15.9 that time by. Hello. Jens Hansen is not messing around at this phase. He knows he's got some comfort, but he's not leaving anything to chance.
No, it was a purple Sector 1, but what's crazy about that lap time, he did not set a personal best in Sector 2. So Sector 1 and 3 were on fire, but it goes back to that point that you were just making, Joe. Maybe it's Sector 2 that Jens isn't actually super happy with, that he's struggling with maybe the stadium section, the slower sections on these racetracks. But obviously, you look at the whole lap and he's put it together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where exactly they cut off those sectors on this. But I do know that the backstretch is a big portion of that second sector. Could be just maybe right here at turn 11 where he's losing some. If you get that poor exit, there's nothing you could do but keep the throttle down all the way down this long, more than kilometer-long straight here along the way.
It is a long, long back straightaway, and actually it is not completely flat. And then actually, you actually pointed it out yesterday, going down here into the brake zone. Can't quite see it from this view, but there's actually a lot of bumps going into that brake zone.
Yeah, quite a bit of the brake zones here are very bumpy, as well as turn 12 is also slightly downhill. So these brake zones are not easy for sure. Turn 1 has a huge bump right at your initial brake pressure. So it's definitely challenging, but it's fun.
This track has kind of become notorious for the bumps and some of the challenges those pose. And I know some drivers complain about them, but personally I like to see a challenge for the race car drivers. Make them work for it.
Well, and you know what happens with those bumps is if you're already on that 100% threshold brake limit and all of a sudden the car gets lighter, well, you engage ABS and your distance actually goes longer. So that's why those bumps are always kind of a little nerve-wracking to see as a driver. Is it going to lift up the car enough to actually engage that ABS, or is it all right?
Something may have happened to Lonnie Unser. Our timing and scoring is showing her dropping down the order, and I'm not sure if this might be a timing glitch. Oh, we got a full course yellow. Oh no, something dramatic must have happened out there. We don't have pictures yet. There she is.
And she's out of the car, so that probably means she saw something inside the car, I'm going to guess, because that's not often that you exit the race car on a live racetrack. So I'm purely speculating here. And, you know, the car looks totally fine, but trust me, fire is very hot.
And just a spectacular job this time. We don't know what happened, but it doesn't seem like this is something that's her fault, as her race has unfortunately come to an end prematurely, but we get the white flag this time by, essentially, and they're having to slow up Jens Hansen to be caught by our safety car, as he was already past pit exit, it looks like, by the time they were able to release it.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because I think he crossed the line with about 20 seconds or so left, so he should be coming up to the white flag under the safety car conditions. But yeah, I wonder what happened to Lonnie back there. Just kind of judging by her posture, she had the door open, she kept looking inside the race car, so it tells me something might have happened inside the cockpit or something that she saw.
Well, what this does do is it means that Anna Czecki gets her best finish of her Porsche Sprint Challenge career with a P2, and Erica Hoffman will get her second ever podium in this series. So well done to both of them, be in the right place at the right time. Bill Pelichowski looks like he'll wind up with a podium along with Tom Kopczynski. So they're taking a look at the car and maybe trying to figure out. Looks like she has gotten back into it, actually.
Yeah, she's back into it. I see her moving around, and and this is in the turn 14 section, so kind of the stadium section, the slower speed area of the racetrack. Didn't see anything on the outside of the car. Looked totally clean. Didn't see any fluids, any smoke, anything like that. But evidently a problem enough for her to bring it off to the side of the track.
Yeah, so frustrating. At least they've got another race coming a little bit later this weekend, as well as the Endurance Challenge coming up. So there's the flatbed getting ready to go pick up that car as we see them head through the stadium section. So Jens Hansen, he may not have started at the very front of this race, but he took it early on, Joey, and from there, he wasn't challenged per se, but he was kept pretty honest.
He was kept very honest, and I'm sure that the team was saying, all right, well, Lonnie just set fast lap, and Jens was like, okay, well, guess what? I can go do that as well. So it was a terrific battle to kind of watch the lap times go back and forth between these two drivers, and then just, of course, so unfortunate for her to basically come to a rest on the outside of the track here with essentially one lap left.
They're still working on that car, so that must be some sort of technical problem. They're trying to see if they can get it fired back up without having to tow it back on the flatbed. But they're definitely still attempting things with it. Since it's at the end of the race, I think they have opportunities and don't have to worry about holding up the race being restarted, because this is going to be our checkered flag here as the safety car leads them across the line under caution. But still, a win is a win if you're Jens Hansen taking his third. And we're double checking, are we on the white flag here? Seeing if we can get pictures. I thought...
Because the leader crossed with about 20 seconds remaining, so yes, we are getting the white flag here. We'll have to go around at safety car speed one more time by.
It's a good catch on that, Joey. I thought that we had hit zero there by the time we came around, so get one more circulation. Not quite done yet, but that said, barring any more technical gremlins, which we don't expect any to happen, this should be the order.
I think this is actually more painful for our drivers out there on the racetrack. And Ashley, you know how hot it is inside these race cars. At race times, you know, when you got the adrenaline going, it's not so bad. You got airflow. But when you're behind the safety car, oh my goodness, it really creeps in.
Yeah, no, definitely anytime it's yellow, you start to realize how toasty you are. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of these drivers wanted to battle it out for these last couple of laps. But man, even under yellow, you still want to make sure you finish. You can definitely celebrate a little too early. So just making sure you're clean and making it all the way around is still very important, even though it's a full course yellow.
We saw that they had finally put the hook on Lonnie's car and is going to pull it back to pit lane. So hopefully some work will be done. It'll be ready to go by the time we get around for race number 2 on this weekend. But some excellent races out there. Greg Czecki and Dan Ammon with some good moves during the race to move up the order to 7th and 8th overall. In fact, that'll be a 4th and a 5th for both of them. So I'm sure they'll be pretty happy with that one. It does look like Rizzo at some point made it back out on the track. We never did find out what was going on with him.
No, it does look one lap down for Rizzo back there in the number 24, so didn't quite figure out exactly that issue. And I know we've talked about her a lot on this stream because she was running up front, but I can't help but go back to Sonoma a few weeks ago. Because remember, Lonnie did not have a great weekend out at Sonoma. She came together with the Anna Checchi. I think it was actually Anna that made the little bit of a mistake, and Lonnie kind of got collected up into it as an innocent bystander. But then never really got the car back 100% out there for race number 2, and then to come to COTA here and have this happen on race number 1, I really do hope that everything can kind of turn around and she's got a good result here coming later in the day or tomorrow.
It might seem odd for some of our viewers, Ashley, but when a car does get damaged like that, does it sometimes affect how it feels like it paces?
I mean, sometimes if you can get the car back rolling while, you know, just the incident just took place, you can definitely feel it. But certainly by now, I'm sure Kelly Moss has made that car 100%. So it's hard to say what really happened there. Definitely her being out of the car, it is concerning that hopefully it wasn't a fire or something like that. So I guess we'll find out later today when we talk to her.
Well, in the meantime, we've got, this time for real, the checkered flag coming up, as they are going to be led off to that start-finish line coming around Andretti. Scalzo managed to survive with a victory in his class as well, we should point out. But there is that checkered flag as Jens Hansen takes the win in the Pro-Ams, while Elaine Scalzo will be our victor in the Masters category. Podiums for Anna Checchi, Bill Pelichowski, Tom Kopczynski, and Erica Hoffman out there today as the rest of them come across the line at pacing speed here. Going to get 17 of our 18 cars managing to finish this race. Let's go through our order on this one with Jens Hansen, as we mentioned, your overall winner. Elaine Scalzo coming home in P2, but your victor in the Masters. Anna Checchi with a podium in second in Pro-Am. Bill Pelichowski second in Masters. Tom Kopczynski third in Masters. And then you've got Erica Hoffman third in the Pro-Am. From there, we'll just do the overalls. As 7th goes to Dan Ammon, 8th goes to Greg Checchi. Griff Osmond will be 9th. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Bill Fennick. Roland Crines with an 11th today. Spencer Proper P12. Paul Bonderson in 13th. And Khalid Edu will be P14. Reggie Tartaglione coming up from the back of the field to finish 15th. Nicely done. Tom Kerr 16th. And Rizzo last to finish in 17th. Unser did not finish. We've got more to come here on our broadcast as the podium celebrations are after this.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
first race of the weekend, and it's time for our podium ceremonies here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series. Let's start off with the Cayman Masters. Finishing P3, driving the number 52, it's Tom Kopczynski. Finishing P2, driving the number 62, Bill Pelichewski. And our winner today in the number 26, starting from pole, Elaine Scalzo.
All right, so Elaine, I'm going to squeeze up behind you here. Great job today. So tell us what was going through your mind here at the start. There was quite a few battles going on between Jens and then you had Lonnie. What was going on in your mindset during that time?
First thing was I wish it was cooler in the car. Yeah, I managed the gap with. It was quite slippery, so I was mainly focused on managing the tires, I would say, and managing the gap with Bill. So yeah, that's what that was occupied my.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty toasty. So do you have anybody to thank?
Yeah, of course, my crew, Jean-Charles, David, Julie, Danny. They're awesome.
All right, great job today.
Does it feel like I belong? Trying to keep it alive on this hungry side.
If drivers would mind swapping hats, please.
Yeah, I'm heading for the station.
Let's load up those trophies one more time. And I guess we're spraying champagne. Congratulations to our Cayman Masters podium finishers. Up next, we have the Apexon Award. This goes to the hard charger of the race, and today it goes to the 27 of Anna Checky. Now it's time for the Cayman Pro-Am podium. Starting with third, it's the number 21 of Erica Hoffman. Finishing P2, driving the 27, and her best finish of her career so far, Anna Checky. Returning to the top step of the podium, in the number 12, our winner is Jens Hansen!
Jens, I'm going to sneak up alongside you here. Great job today. Super strong at the start. What were your thoughts as the race was going on?
I just tried to keep my head down and focus on getting lap times. I know Lonnie was pretty quick, so it was hot out there, and I just tried to maintain tires, really.
Yeah, you had the lead there, and definitely Lonnie was slowly inching towards you. Was your team telling you that as the race was going on?
Yeah, and it was kind of bittersweet. It pushed me to go faster and faster, but it also made it a little bit harder to maintain the speed. So.
All right, great job today.
And now the drivers can spray the champagne! Congratulations to the Cayman Pro-Am podium finishers for race 1 here at COTA. We've got more racing action coming up with the 992 Cup cars here shortly.